So Commander Vimes has been ordered to put down his badge, to relinquish his badge. He's not happy about it. He's not even a little bit. He's fighting it tooth and nail. But, unfortunately, Lord Vetinari is making him take a holiday. And that's how we kick off Book 39 in Terry Pratchett's Discworld, Snuff. And another, how many times can I say it? Every time I've said it. Another brilliant Terry Pratchett Discworld one. This is, I think I called it a little early with my last Discworld review. There's still a lot of magic coming out of Terry at this stage, and this one's no exception. So Commander Vimes has been ordered to take a vacation with a little bit of prompting from Lady Sybil, I'm sure. And they're off to the country to, Sybil's family estates in the country. Which he's not pleased about. Not pleased at all. He's leaving the job, he's leaving the crew. He's travelled before, but that was on official duties. This time it's no official duties. And all he's taking is Willikin. He's gentleman's gentleman, who is very, very rarely a gentleman. And this story we've heard about that in the past, but this one we really learn that dark side of Willikins, and he's really, he sort of steals the show in this book, which is brilliant. But Sam's off to the country, and trying to get used to the the people of the town, and as the big copper from Ankh-Morpork, the big commander, and the man of titles that wasn't born with titles, but he's got titles now. And to the simple folk of the country, to check out his big lush estates. And so naturally there's balls and there's parties that Lady Sybil's ordering, and young Sam is coming along for the thing, not Commander Vimes, but their son, young Sam, and he's enamoured with the bedtime stories about Pooh, which, as a father who had to read some of them stories, oh my god, why? Kids have got better imaginations than Pooh stories. They do my head in. But anyway, I will not get onto that. But that plays a big part in this book, the fascination with Pooh. And oh my god, yeah, it does my head in. Having to read them, I used to avoid it, and when people gave my kids those stories when they're little, they're a little bit older now, we bring big stories. Oh my god. Anyway, back to Snuff. And actually, Terry, re-listening to it, you notice all the little Easter eggs he hinted at for future stories, and some of the stuff that he alludes to in some of these later ones, man, you wonder what we missed. I wonder what we missed had he hung around a little bit longer. Because he actually hinted at this one in the last book. They talked about the snuff box and things like that, and it was the witch, not Tiffany, the other witch, was doing a bit of snuff, which we sort of know what that means. But yeah, so there's a lot of little Easter eggs that he hinted at future stories and things to come. And when he gets there, there's one man that, a blacksmith, that doesn't want to hear this big lord knob coming to town and thinking he's better than them. And Sam's, he doesn't feel he's better than anyone. He knows where he's come from. He knows he came from the gutter. He knows the kind of person he could be, and that controlled rage, which the summoning dark as sort of attached itself to him from when he was with the dwarfs in Uberworld. But even before that, he had that rage. He had that nasty streak he kept well and truly harnessed to not be the criminals that he pursues. And but this one he's not hearing any of that. Or not gentleman. Blacksmith's gonna create a little bit of mischief and have a little bit of fun. So, in an effort to sort of put him down, but walk away equals, without really putting him down. So Sam does. He puts him down, and while he's sort of got him down, the fella tells him to meet him up the certain hill at midnight. Because what could go wrong there? But Sam agrees to meet him. Willikins, of course, agrees. Goes first, but about an hour early, and decides to hide, not in the darkest place, but in the second darkest place, to see if this blacksmith, what he'll do when, if he occupies the darkest place up there. So, but of course, so Sam goes to a night of hobnobbing, and we meet a delightful chap, the Colonel, and watching him on his best behaviour, but suddenly not on his best behaviour in a subtle way, but just letting these other hoity-toity people that do believe that they're better than everyone else, sort of putting them in their place a little bit. And the code for Sybil to shut him down, which he didn't listen to, I love that. I can't think of what they actually called it, but it was a letter from somebody, and that is so subtle and so brilliant. I wonder how many other couples in that have those little clues and things for the wife to just politely pull your head in to the husband. And Lady Sybil has that, but he sort of ignores it for a bit, and she gets very insistent about, do I need to show you the letter, which he finally decides to behave himself, and then jaunties up to the hill to meet this blacksmith that everyone in the pub saw him best earlier that day, and the blacksmith threatened him and all that. And what could go wrong? Well, the blacksmith's not there, but there is a truck ton of blood, and poor Willikins basically falls into it, literally falls into the blood. And so then this young upstart officer, local copper, rocks up in the morning, basically fully knowing that Sam was meeting the blacksmith up there. The blacksmith's missing. There's no body yet. So, but the blacksmith's missing. So this young constable that's been sworn an oath to a bunch of local magistrates, and one of them's Lord Rust's family. So what dodgy things are going on there. And so he's there ready, bang, first thing in the morning to arrest Sam for murder. Despite the fact there's no body, there is a lot of blood. Excuse me. There is a lot of blood, but there's no body. So is there a murder if there's no body? But do you think do you think Commander Vimes is going to be arrested? Do you think he's going to let that happen? So he starts whipping this young fella into shape. And he's supposed to be on holiday, but certain people, trouble finds them or tends to know where they are at all times. So, So Sam's on the case, and we soon delve into another unique world, and that's the goblins. This is what this is about, the goblins. We sort of hinted about that in the last one, but I won't spoil the last one by giving too much about that away. But now we really discover the goblins. And they are vermin. To put it nicely, they are vermin. But despite that, people think that they're vermin and that they can be loaded into ships and sold off to other places or killed indiscriminately, they actually make art. They make these pots, these snuff pots, which it's not snuff pots for the goblins. They're actually quite sacred things. And that also leads us to a subplot where we're still back in Ankh-Morpork with Fred Colin receiving one of these pots. And I would love to delve into these, but I don't, that thread, as brilliant and as perfect as it is, but it a lot of worries for Carrot and Cherry Littlebottom, who are stuck dealing with Fred Colin, and yeah, and also later on with Nobby, who's, you know, has a certificate to say he's human, but is probably slightly less foul than a goblin, but only slightly. I mean slightly, and he doesn't have art and the ability to make these beautiful pots that are works of art. But if they're not perfect, the goblins will destroy them, and that's really no. But that's what this story is about: is how we, you know, view certain people that are not considered of value in our life. And this is a real stab at white Europe and you know, the English aristocracy, and you know, the colonization and slavery. And it's a real kick in the arse of them. And it's not that subtle. It's very obvious. These are the links, these vermin, these goblin creatures, and that's how you know, certain humans, unfortunately, certain European humans, white humans, have viewed the world. And it still goes on today. We're seeing it today, that unfortunately there's still people that trade on that hate and trade in that ignorance, to think that they're the superior ones because we said we are, and we're white and we're Christian, which is not Christian at all. And Jesus was an Arab, but there we go. But yeah, and that's what this story is about. This, you know, it's how we treat people, how we view people, we think are different. And the goblins have their society, they have their language structure. It's a little bit different, and you know, and that's what Terry does. He tackles these big world issues, but instead of white versus black, or, you know, blah blah blah, it's dwarf, it's trolls, it's goblins. You know, they don't have racism in the Discworld because they have speciesism, and which is far more interesting. And I'm gonna have to shift because I'm getting pins and needles. Oh. I'll get better at these one day. I'll be far more professional and, you know, do not off in tangents and not off in weird talks about, you know, and distracted while I do these reviews. But for now, these are who I am. Disorganized book reviews. But this is a beautiful one. It's a really good one. And like I said, there's a lot of little Easter eggs. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on in this world, how we treat people and you know, other humans that we've deemed unworthy in society. And it's, you know, it's everything. It's, you see it in people that are living rough, you know, which I know a lot about from my job. I sort of hear some of these stories and that, and it's a plight, you know, but we're so quick to blame them or discount them without really knowing who and what they are and what makes them special and what makes them human. And I think, you know, that's what Terry Pratchett tries to show us, and you really hope that people, that's what all stories should be, you know, touching humanity and understanding each other's stories. But then he does it in this quirky, witty, funny, and Willikins is really, really the gentleman's gentleman, as pulling out a stiletto and, you know, his brass knuckles that have spikes and things like that. And then of course there's a riverboat scene, because they have to go on a bit of a journey down a river that's called Old Treachery, and that's a lot of fun too. That's an action-packed, couple of chapters. Or Terry doesn't really do chapters, but yeah, that's brilliant. This boat ride and the journey along the river, got everything you want in a good action, and a typical Terry Pratchett story. You know, there's the humour, there's the heart, there's the look at what we're doing in society, and then there's the fun and the action packed, because they're all action packed and they're all mystery novels. And to see him where this one sort of Comes and Lands is it's a brilliant Terry Pratchett book. Snuff. I'm not sure about the whole snuff element of it, and Sam Vimes is a drinker, or was a drinker. He was a lush when we first meet him, and Sybil sorts him out, and then he smokes his cigar, and suddenly he's doing the snuff. I'm not really sure where I sit with that. I know it was a time it was very fashionable, and if you understand the history of drugs, about why they started being made illegal and things like that, because back in the days they were acceptable in a lot of societies. Now we're sort of going back that way in some, but anyway. But yeah, it just felt odd. This was something I really questioned about this book, and I don't question Terry Pratchett a lot. You know by now, it's book 39. I am a massive fan. I love it, but that was something that really weirded me out. That not so much that it was in there, but the fact that Sam Commander Vimes did it. Yeah, and especially when the trolls were doing slab and things like that, and he really, detritus would kicking googly heads in for anyone that was selling that to the kids in the troll world, with the troll drugs. For Sam to be doing it was a bit odd. I found that odd. But that, was the only thing I really, with Terry and in 41 books. Well, I've read a couple of his other, not many of his others, but I've read a couple of his others, so over 40 books. But that's that. Again, that aside, that one little element aside that I did find odd, it's another typical brilliant Terry Pratchett book. I remember reading these and, for the first time, and just even Colour of Magic, I was captivated and swept away into this world, re-listening to them and falling in love and picking up the little things that you didn't notice. There's always going to be something you're going to pick up by rereading or listening to something that you didn't the first time, and there's a lot of them in these books because of the nature of the things he hides in there and the little Easter eggs and that I talked about earlier. I absolutely love these books. I've got 2 more to go through, and I don't know how I'm going to go with the last one, but we'll get there and we'll do that. And if you want to see them reviews, happy reading, subscribe and follow for more.